Welcome, everyone. My name is Tiffany Brackens, and I want to welcome you to day number 2 of Smart Home Builders Recession Proof Pivot Plan Challenge. To get started right away, let me introduce to you one of your hosts, Jeff M. Wilson. He's a fourth generation entrepreneur, a graduate of Wharton Business School. He's also a speaker, author, mentor, and coach. He's worked with 3,000 plus businesses in over 112 industries, hundreds in construction, real estate development, building, trades, and suppliers. His average consulting client increases profits by 64% in the first year, and he's recognized as one of the top 100 coaches in the world.
Hi, I want to welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. It's terrific to have you here on day 2 of our Pivot Plan Challenge, where we're going to help you and show you how you can change the current plans you have and adapt them to be able to recession-proof your business. Yesterday, on day 1, we covered some incredible content. Thank you so much, everybody, for your feedback. It's been terrific, and welcome those, some of you who were not here yesterday. It is available for recording. Del, if you could please put in the chat, so everybody has chat available. You can ask us any questions during the session and or after. Also, Delge is going to put in the chat the link to the Facebook group, which is where you can access the recordings and any of the other materials that we'll make available, including the worksheet from yesterday. So we talked about the 5 secrets for turning qualified prospects into buyers now. It was extremely powerful. We covered a lot of great material and in fact had some questions which we'll be covering in a moment. But first, I want to introduce really the star of the show and my co-host, S. Robert August. Robert is a National Association of Home Builder legend and Hall of Famer, and one of less than 100 people to have those honors. Out of more than 21,000 people in the NAHB who have helped recruit or retain and attract members, Robert is the all-time #1 leader with 4,600 spike credits. He's marketed and sold more than $40 billion in real estate and related service and products. He's the author of more than 1,000 articles and is co-authored a book on marketing. He's instructed more than 2,500 classes, workshops, lectures, speeches, training sessions, webinars, podcasts, and strategy sessions. So, Robert, I really we do have a question here, and I'd really like your input. If you could maybe share with me, it would be really helpful. The first question we have from yesterday was, why should everyone here be so focused on selling their company first?
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the kind remarks as well. The people need to get a sense of who you are as a company. They need to know the makeup of your company, the stability of your company. We're working in challenging times right now. And there was an amazing pivot that took place at the end of May when the market started to subside more directly. We had already been in a housing recession. And whenever you go into a housing recession that's more noted, there's an old adage. When my neighbor across the street is unemployed, it's a recession. When I'm unemployed, it's a depression. And so, in essence, one of the key things about selling yourself and your company is the ability for the customer to know that you're going to be there today, tomorrow, and forever. You want to give them the confidence that your company is filled with excellent employees, that you're going to be there to help them at a moment's notice, and at the same time that they can count on you or bank on you. And those are the primary reasons. It's taking the fear away, that they're going to get bamboozled, or in a difficult scenario down the road.
That's great, Robert. Thanks. I think given the material we want to cover today and to have time at the end to answer some other questions that may come up, there's another question, but we'll get to that. But why don't we jump right into today's material? I think that we have some really powerful things to share about motivating and getting more results from your employees and your trades, and really everybody you work with. So what you see here on the screen is basically what I say is everything they taught you of how you treat everybody in kindergarten or elementary school. Robert will say, this is what my parents taught me, and my parents taught me also, treat everybody with respect. So if you look at these pictures, it gives an idea. We're going to share with it from a business standpoint and in terms of training, but it also, I don't mean to be formulaic, but you really want to make sure that you're doing all these things, because if you leave any of these gaps, people will not feel respect. So Robert, I know that you're probably one of the most respectful and considerate people and thoughtful that I know. Why is the very first item that we have here, why is that so important?
Well, as we look at the this pyramid of respect, the first item is appreciation. And one of the things that we all need to do is appreciate everyone with whom we work. And the more that we can make them feel accountable, responsible, helpful, and appreciated, they in turn are going to give you the best return on investment of their time and effort to do the best possible job for you. The other thing is that, in life, we've learned from a lot of outstanding professors, authors, etc. There's a gentleman by the name of Maslow who created a pyramid of success. And in putting together the psychological understanding of workers, he was able to show us that it's not about the money. It's more about the appreciation. It's more about the self-esteem that you help build within the employees that you work with. And it's from that kernel that I was raised. And what was so fascinating, employees within our family business were with us for 20, 30, 40 years. And why? Because they were treated extremely well. They were praised in a constant situation. And there's a lot of the different points, but the appreciation and making them feel a part of the team was so important and is so important today.
So that's really, if someone's with you for 20 years, that shows really that they're being attended to and you're paying that attention. So give an example, whether it be from any of your business experience or with a builder, what's a great way to pay attention in a positive way to your employees and trades?
Well, when someone does something right, don't take it for granted. You need to let them know, and we'll talk about this shortly, but you need to single them out when they're doing something right, when they're adding value to the team and contributing a positive point of interest. And it's so critical. We take positive action for granted. And everybody needs praise, everybody needs love and consideration. And at the end of the day, that's going to make a big difference. A quick example would be when you work with one of your salespeople, for example. I think that it helps us to understand that you gave them 4 choices of how to handle a transaction, and they go and they succeed with one of those opportunities and are able to assuage or mitigate concerns, you want to let them know that they did a great job. And at the same time, you want to use that example in a training session in order to say, this is what George did, this is what Sally or Phyllis did, in order to turn a customer who was considering of canceling into a customer that's now our greatest resource as an ambassador of goodwill.
So, that's really great in terms of example and case study and praise. In terms of nurture, you said really love your employees, and it's helping them to grow and develop. So it's really by sharing those success stories that you're nurturing the ones who do really well, and you're also helping everyone else to grow because they're learning by example and they're understanding the power of their peers. Now, Robert, this next item in terms of manners, and I'm not kissing up, this is really legitimate and honest. I don't know anyone who is more polite or respectful or courteous than you. You always say please and thank you, and it doesn't matter to whom you're involved with. Do you find in the construction business that there's a lack of that at times?
There is, but I think that, as you said before, any one of us can gain more respect from the employees that we have, the trades that we have, especially the trades and service companies, to let them know how much you appreciate working with them, and you share it. And you have to be sincere. Sometimes, people think that somebody can be a little bit over the top, but I think that the more that you take the time to work with individuals, the better it is. I mean, I'm still working today, having come to Colorado 44 years ago, with some of the same creative companies that I had worked with in 1978, and other, in developing relationships with new companies as well. But I think that, the real key is taking it forward, and the manners, there's really no substitute for kindness and letting people know how much you appreciate them.
Yeah, I mean, you're the master praise. I think I had to train myself to do it, and I think I'm good at it because I focus on it. Is I always look and I encourage every business and every individual to find reasons, to catch people doing something right. Too often people focus on catching someone doing something wrong, but by catching someone doing something right and praising them, that gives them the acknowledgement they deserve, and it's right on the spot. But that really leads to the next thing, which can be really challenging, which is how do you discipline diplomatically? What do you think is the most important part of that, Robert?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I had issues when I became responsible for employees many years ago. And one of the things that I realized, it was similar to the way that I was coached playing baseball, basketball, soccer, etc. And the key was never discipline somebody in front of a group or in front of another person. Always take them aside, and let them know what they're doing wrong. But before I would tell them what they're doing wrong, I would say that, I've got some concerns, or at the same time, I might praise them first for what they're doing right. Then I would take them to the point of sharing what I was not happy about, and ask them, and give them solutions to correct the issue, and ask them how they were going to move ahead, and work as part of the team, in order to overcome my concerns. And I think that the key there, Jeff, is asking them for the solution to the situation. And if they balk,
which is seeking their opinions and their thoughts, exactly, engaging with them.
Well, and another point of seeking opinions is that whenever you have a change that you would like to enact, even though if you already have made that decision to move forward, it's still important to seek opinions of the employees that are affected by that change, and make sure that there's a buy-in to the opportunity to move forward. Seeking opinions is very, very helpful. And the other thing is take notes. The more times that you can physically take notes when you're talking to your team members, it gives them a sense, that you're caring, that and it helps me. I'd like to tell you I can remember 100% of everything, but note taking has become an intrinsic value to me, especially when working with trade service companies and even our employees.
I think that it's great how you just segue to the next one, which is planning participation. And how important have you found for yourself or others is recognition? And what's the best way to do it and the healthiest way to do it?
Another really great question. Everyone likes recognition. Everyone likes to earn their praise. And I think that, there's a number of different things that, that one can do. The one thing is that when I'll never forget, I came here and we started a new master plan community, and I was brought in to run the sales and marketing from the Philadelphia market. And here in Denver, a lot of changes. Well, within the first 4 months, I was quickly leading the charge of a large real estate company and practice, and people who had been in this market for years. And we were able, as a team, to exceed in this one community of many that the company had. And getting the recognition in front of all of my peers, was very, very meaningful. And from that type of recognition, I've always been able to take a moment to make sure that not only do I give the recognition to the individual, but I also paper their files with the notice of a letter of appreciation to them that I've copied and put into their file, their employment file, as well as sometimes we'll have a situation where recognition has been earned outside of the company, and we want to let them know. The other thing we want to do, we often will recognize trades and service companies as well, letting them know how much we appreciate them. And it's not just a letter here and there. We'll often have team meetings at the start of a community, midway, and sometimes towards the end, just rallying everybody and having days or an hour or two where we'll set aside time to praise everyone and thank them for their contribution to making our company and the companies we represent so successful.
So I hear it in there, but could you succinctly say the one point, because it's the next one, which is ownership, because you're talking about employees and trades, getting them to take ownership. Obviously, all these steps. Is there one specific idea, strategy, tactic that you found that really helps to engage those people more than anything else you've done?
When we begin working with a company, and even before through the interview process, we want to let them know that everything they do, their employees do, is a reflection on our company. And we have what we call a buy-in of ownership. And we explain to them that the carrot at the end of the stick is when they do a great job, we'll all move on to the next project or opportunity together. And we want them to take ownership.
That's an important part, right?
Well, the real key, Jeff, is that we want them to feel as if they're a part of the program. We also do something that's a little different that I learned directly from my father-in-law, and he was the chairman of the board and president of a glass fabrication company. And he had 16 cities throughout the United States. And he would travel on a monthly basis to each one of the fabrication plants. And he would take the time to train the employees in the art of running a business, managing a business. And he wanted them to understand that there was a writer many years ago called Studs Terkel, as well as a commentator, that every single job was important, whether you were the janitor, you were the receptionist, whether you were the, whatever your job title was, that you played a role in the ownership of the company and the success of the company. And Jeff, I'll never forget, I went to meet my father-in-law to ask my future wife, Penny, for her hand in marriage. And he only had time to meet me at the office. And I went to the office, and he came out to greet me after the receptionist called him, and he turned and he pointed to the receptionist, Jeff, and he said, "I'd like you to meet the most important person in our company." And he introduced me to the receptionist. He said, "This is the first wave of attack. This is the person who introduces anyone who calls us to our company. And we're so proud to have Lila here as a receptionist and really making a difference." So the ownership is really a critical point.
So communications is so essential, and very often in working with businesses working on projects, the challenge is having a clear definition of what is involved, who's involved, what's going on. So what we have found is the critical first step is to define what are we working on and what's our goals, what's our milestones. And in doing that, it's to confirm that people are listening. How many times have we both been involved in projects, Robert, where someone said, well, I told them such and such, but it was never confirmed, it wasn't clear, and it wasn't followed up on, so it didn't happen, right?
It happens all the time.
Step is so critical.
Yeah, I do want to take one step back, if you don't mind. In the pyramid of respect, the last item at the top of the pyramid is paying. And it's so critical to make sure that your subcontractors, your trade, your services, your vendors, your manufacturers are paid on time. And I think it's quite obvious, but the more that you take care of them, not only with all those items within the pyramid, but making sure that the payment is made on time, it's extremely important in order to facilitate and continue to gain the trust and the excellent participation of all parties concerned. Thank you.
So, Robert, when you're working with anyone on your team, and it could be just so someone knows, if there's anything here that you want to see again, the videos will be available and online, so you can have as much time to look at those and take notes. So don't worry that you're missing anything. Pay attention to us. Those videos will be available. So as you explain to someone, Robert, what it is that you want, what needs to be done, do you have any specific tactics or methodology in your explaining to someone that you find most effective? Because that's a key of communication, is that someone gets what you're saying, right? You explain how to do something.
Yeah, I think, what's important here is to make sure that you understand what it is that needs to be explained. It's also important for you to prepare an agenda for your presentation to ensure that you cover the items within the presentation that you want to, and that you do it in such a way that it's going to be meaningful to anyone that's in the audience or on your team. It's critical in the sense that when you have certain points, it's good to use 2 or 3 different examples when it's more of a challenging point of concern. And a lot of times, it's also helpful when you can use case studies or points of examples that you've recently shared with some of your employees and trades, and how they work together in tandem to overcome obstacles and or to just do what's right, and let them know how to move forward. But explanation is in our ability to articulate. And one of the key things
that's very powerful, Robert. What you shared is, and I learned this way myself, by example. So I think giving those examples is so critical, because it puts it in a context that people can understand. So I think that, again, really really powerful points. So as we move on and explaining training, and you in doing, as we said, more than 2,500 webinars, training sessions, seminars, workshops, you exemplify training. And you have in fact, we'll be talking today about that in more depth. But in terms of training, how critical is it for people to be trained properly on how to do things?
It's probably one of the most important things. When you get the buy-in from somebody who doesn't understand something, and again, it's interesting. It's one thing to grow up in a business and see the pragmatic application and some of the academic. One of the key points for me in my learning education, there were only two undergraduate schools in the United States at the time when our company was being organized through labor unions. And my father, who had been graduated from the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania, like you, Jeff, as well as my father-in-law, there was no program at the University of Pennsylvania. So I matriculated to Pennsylvania State University and spent 4 years in one major. I never switched. It was always labor management relations. And what I learned through a series of studies, Western Electric had the Hawthorne studies. And what they showed over and over and over, whether it was working on Western Electric was basically Bell Telephone, AT&T, many years ago. And what they showed in the manufacturing plants and people working on the same product, that they all had to work in tandem together. And when one worked too fast, and the others, they made the other people look poorly. And by learning about the training and trying to maintain a flat level or stable level, of production, it really makes a big difference. But I think that the real key with training is never assume that everybody knows their job, and learn through experience and train in an academic way, but also taking it to the next step when you depend on subcontractors and other companies and other trades to do work with you. You just can't assume that work is going to be done. So you've got to work and create a training program with the various vendors and service companies as well, in order to make sure that their supervisors are all working with you and meeting in advance to review the plans, review the PERT charts or the Gantt charts to make sure that the work will be done in a timely and excellent manner.
So exactly as you said, so they're being trained in what they need to do. They need to understand it's part of an overall process, and there needs to be regular and scheduled status reviews. So really essential elements. And the next is critical path. And again, from your academic studies as well as your work life, critical path is critical to you, right? When you say critical path, and everyone may not be familiar with that term, could you explain what that means? Because it's a powerful term, and it's essential that critical path be followed to achieve success. So could you maybe explain that for everyone?
Well, I think, for everyone that's listening today, there are different tasks that we all undertake. And a critical path or Gantt chart or PERT chart, in this instance, is a timeliness of accomplishing the goal. What you do is you plan the work in advance and determine the schedule that you are going to deliver that particular program. We have with us an outstanding manufacturer by the name of Italo Martin from Huga Technology, who recently won the Global Innovation Award from the National Association of Home Builders. And Italo and all of us are all about schedules in order to deliver homes, office buildings, strip shopping centers, whatever it might be, and putting it into an ordinal fashion gives us the opportunity to understand how to overcome various issues along the way. And there's a contingent factor involved in putting the critical path together, but it gives us a sense of completion of the task in front of us.
So that's really the goal, is you want those milestones to reach completion. And so often when completion, and there may be a completion checklist, people think that's the end of it. The reason, Robert, you're the $40 billion man, and that people who do business with you again and again. I think to understand that and essential is that for you, completion is just the beginning of the next engagement or project, right? And that's why this next element of customer service is so critical. And give some ideas so people understand what that means at completion, so that they're positioning themselves for their next project or engagement.
Well,
or
I think
referral,
that,
testimonial.
yeah, I think that, the key with the customer service, as we said yesterday, we want to set the expectations and follow up with those consumers, those customers on a regular basis. And one of I'd like everybody that's listening to make a note of the following two lines. You may recall or you may remember. You may recall or you may remember. When you're dealing with a situation that where you have previously explained something to someone, you want to use those terms and refresh their memory. But the biggest one that I'll share with you, I worked, my first job outside of our family business was working with the largest home building company in the United States. And we shipped out kits. We had 214 franchise builders nationwide. And we shipped out exterior shipments for the builders to build or the consumers to build, and then the interior shipment when they were ready. And in 2 years working in the company before I went back to graduate school, nobody ever called except one buyer. I was dealing with hundreds and hundreds of buyers, and we had 10,000 homes within our delivery over a 2-year period of time back in 1972, 73. And what was so fascinating about that is that people would call and scream as if I created the problem. I didn't create the problem, but I was in the middle. I was the bologna between two pieces of bread, and they were chewing on me. And I learned how to overcome the negativity by using two important words. I understand. I understand. It didn't mean that I agreed with them. It didn't mean that I disagreed. It meant that I was paying attention. Penny at the time was going through psychiatric art therapy graduate work at Hahnemann Medical College in Philadelphia. And she taught me this. And it was amazing how I would be able to relax and calm everyone just by letting them know that I was taking notes and understanding. The next thing I did was summarize what their needs were. And then I told them, even if I knew the answers, I told them I'd call them back in 2 hours. And in 2 hours, they're screaming and shouting and stopped. They were embarrassed that they had screamed at me. And I called them back and I gave them an answer or two. And then I kept calling them back with all of the information and regained their trust and respect by paying attention to their needs. But that's just an example. The real key with customer service, pay attention to your buyers. Keep them posted with what you're trying to accomplish. And let them know how much you appreciate them.
Let them know exactly how much you appreciate them. So in communicating, and we've used different tools, they're called PER charts, Gantt charts, all of the different project management software and such. There's a simple tool, and we'll have that available in our Facebook, which we call the SMART Goal planning sheet. And what it starts with is a SMART goal. And if you don't know what a SMART goal is, you can read right here. It's something that's specific, measurable, achievable, results-driven, and time-focused. So every goal that you have, and if we go back to that previous chart, to communicate what's going on and what you want to do, you need to fill this out in advance so that people know exactly what's expected of them and what you're doing. As Robert says, if you're going to explain something, you need to first to know what you're doing. Very important for yourself and for your team, and that means your internal and external team, or what's the potential benefits of it, and then what are the obstacles. And so often in planning, people will say, well, we can't do such and such. We can't do this project because we can't get this product. We can't do this project because we don't have the financing. We can't do this project because no one knows how to do such and such. Those become obstacles that can stop something, but this process says, well, what are the possible solutions? And often, so many times when I work through with businesses on this and they go through this, they go, oh, got it. Okay, that'll work. And then we go through, and again, this is some projects can have hundreds or maybe even thousands of steps. But here we take the top 12 actions. Who's responsible? That's the owner. What's our target date? And then we want to keep score. When is it done? And you want to be very specific about each one. And then finally, and you may heard the term KPIs or key performance indicators, but you want to know what are the key indicators. They could be milestones, whatever, but something that's measurable and you want to know the result. So we have this form will be in the Facebook group. So if you look again in the chat, click in. You can do that while we're talking now, or I can indulge if you can make sure if people want it, that it can be emailed to them so they can register. You'll have this form as a Word document for you to use and fill out. But we took the liberty of taking one because I learned by example. I'd say, okay, that sounds all well and nice, but that's theory. Give me an example. So Robert, this is a very powerful strategy and technique, which are parade of homes or idea homes. And that's the SMART goal. And we crafted a goal around that. Maybe you could talk a little bit about it. People can read this, but maybe you can talk a little bit about the elements of this that make it a SMART goal.
Well, I think that when you look at the goal, and those of you, we have Lindy Hatcher here from California, who's an executive officer of one of the outstanding home builder associations. We look at idea homes, parade of homes, showcase of homes as a non-dues revenue sharing program with a lot of associations or developers with whom we work. And I think that, in understanding each of these opportunities, we look at the SMART goal planning as a way to embody all of our members or grow our members and increase the members. An idea home, for example, gives you the opportunity to think of all the different companies that you're working with. In a major metropolitan area, you'll work with probably 100 companies to build one home. And you'll also work with probably within those 100, another 200 that will be bringing their products to the table for those vendors, manufacturers, service companies, trades that you'll be working with. So in essence, you have the opportunity to fully engage and put together a team first of all of these different characters that can make a tremendous opportunity to bring a home to life. As the phoenix rises from the ashes, you have the ability to bring everybody together and demonstrate how you can put together a promotional campaign that will educate consumers, educate other builders, developers, manufacturers, real estate brokers, people within the profession. But the consumer and the professionals will all learn. So the potential benefits for achieving this goal, of course, if it's done correctly, more sales, more brand awareness is another one, more cash flow. The other thing we talk about is building a bigger prospect database from which we can create more sales. What we found, we have an outstanding builder that we work with who's really the father of the Green Built movement by the name of John Kurowski. And John and I worked on these programs years ago. We actually did the first parade of homes for the Department of Energy in 1981. And John was one of 10 builders, and he would have customers that would come back to him 2 and 3 years later with a magazine with the articles and explaining how they wanted a home built. So you build this prospect database for future sales. Reduce stress is another thing, because what happens by creating this platform of opportunity, what you're also doing is bringing all these companies together and showing them how they can make more money and how they can grow their businesses. The other thing with the idea home, everybody that's going to come out is not necessarily going to buy what you have to sell, but they will buy the manufacturers, the vendors, the trades, which are important. So what are some of the obstacles? Conceivably lack of cooperation and limited marketing, lack of qualified salespeople, and mismanagement. And then, as you look at solutions to each of these items, for example, by being able to effectively communicate in a series of meetings and messaging, you're going to be able to effectively communicate. And phone calls and personal meetings certainly make a difference. What we do with a lack of skilled employees and trade people, we actually vet and train excellent employees and tradespeople. We train the people in other companies too, because when we find people who have it, and get it, what we want to do is make sure that we can add value to them as well, and we train them. Limited marketing, implement a 1-year pre-opening marketing campaign. Most people in these type of events never market the program until a week or two before. We believe that there's a pre-marketing opportunity to start marketing and selling all the products, the gadgets, the builder, the developer, everybody way in advance, and create sales today rather than wait for tomorrow. And as a result of doing this, we create a wonderful opportunity. Lack of qualified salespeople, we vet and train these folks internally and externally. We do work, we want the qualified salespeople of the trades and the service companies to be knowledgeable and not just come out to the home as a fly on the wall. We want them to be able to engage, and we train them how to work a retail environment with all these people coming through so that they can get a better return on investment. Mismanagement, proactive planning and action, as we discussed. So as we look at this, we take different action steps for achieving the goal. And we, as simple as it may seem, we assemble the team of experts, both internally and externally. We create a feasibility study to understand the opportunity in front of us. We review the feasibility study with the team so that we can all determine what role we're going to play with each other and how we're going to use each other's resources. We create the plan with a critical path and milestones, as Jeff pointed out. We jump in and we build a budget. What a novel idea. Then we put a financial plan to implement the construction and marketing of the home and the event. And we also, along the way, use OPM. It's not OPM, it's OPM. It's other people's money. How can we engage that manufacturer, that vendor, that trade, that service company to make an investment along with us in order to help us promote and promote thereafter the event to move forward?
Robert, I think that's such a critical point, and because the financial aspect, and really, I think you have said that all, and I'm sure it's probably almost all of the business you've done in your career has been as a result of alliance partners, and it's really this collaboration. And I'll say your extensive contacts and database that enable you to be able to secure products and resources to be able to make something like this happen. If someone's just starting out, they can reach out to their current vendors or whatever, and maybe able to do it, or they can contact us and we can help them. But it's so critical. And maybe you can just take a moment and say how why that next step is so important, which is engaging others in the community, such as a nonprofit, so that you're bringing multiple people and resources together to be able to bring the project to fruition.
I think what's so interesting is that when we look at the alliance partners, both locally, regionally, nationally, and even internationally, it's explaining how we can all work together. The other thing that happens by bringing a nonprofit into work with a not-for-profit, the not-for-profit would be the trade association. The nonprofit would be the American Cancer Society, for example, that we've worked with, or the American Heart Association that's been fantastic, or the American Lung Association. You find a cause that's pretty indigenous to the local market, where whether you're working with a builder or developer or the trade association that has a tie-in, manufacturers and vendors, trades, et cetera, will provide you with more contributions when they know that the net proceeds of the event will go directly to a nonprofit. And the other thing is, as a result, they'll also open up their coffers to give you more or better product, the state-of-the-art product, marketing dollars. They'll use their marketing department to help you, as well as most of the larger manufacturers have their own foundations from which they can make contributions. So all of these things add value in putting together a program like this. So this SMART goal planning sheet really becomes critical in understanding how you can work in tandem with all of these parties, especially your trades, your service companies, your vendors, and your manufacturers. They're the star of the show. They're really the paradigm shift. It's really the more stories that you can create, the more visibility. You implement the pre-marketing campaign, as I indicated. You don't wait a year. You start using it immediately. You solicit sponsorship, advertising, exhibit, and ticket sales right away to put money into the coffers. You begin construction, and of course, you begin the sales process immediately. And
you're saying that you begin selling even before the home is open?
Absolutely. We have a set of plans. We can sell from the plans. We also have customers who want to create hybrids of the plans, or build in another environment. So that's where the art of salesmanship comes into play. We listen well, we deliver excellently, and we make money for everybody. I mean, it's all about paying attention. And what's so fascinating in a challenging market, this type of program that we just outlined, Jeff, embodies bringing all the collective parties together, into one major ball, if you will, and have everybody win. And it's amazing, and especially when you start to see all the traffic that you can generate, the pre-traffic, to do construction tours, the tours of the home when it's completed. It's amazing how it all comes together.
And of course, we have, what are your milestones? What are your key performance indicators? And let me bring those all up here, because I think they're really powerful, Robert. And I'm expanding it so everybody can see it. But these milestones and these objectives, would you say that for any kind of parade of home or idea home, that these are the 4 KPIs that you look at?
They are. Definitely. As we went through this and prepared this list, you've got schedules to meet. It's important to stay on target with your budget. The real key is to, this is all about sales and performance for every company that's involved, not just the builder alone. There's so many additional benefits to the manufacturers, to the vendors, to the trades, where they'll get additional sales directly for themselves to go in and remodel office buildings, homes, different buildings, hospitality-wise, government-wise, institutions, schools, et cetera. So it's the ability to see how it all comes together and how it benefits the overall community. We just had our statistics.
So as I look at our attendees today, it seems that every person in this challenge today can fit into some aspect of this to build their business. I mean, have you met anyone at any HBA who can't participate or benefit from this? I guess it could be an accountant or attorney could also. I mean, you'd say, well, gee, they're not necessarily a builder, but they could be a participant of it. And people need attorneys and accountants. If they're part of the team that's doing it, everyone can benefit, right, Robert?
Absolutely. The other thing I want to share with you that we haven't said to date, and this is, if I said nothing else today, this is probably the most important. With all of your employees, your manufacturers, your vendors, your trades, your service companies, if we said that there's 100 companies, for example, we have Lisa Grischler here from McClintock Homes, and if she has 100 homes, 100 companies that she's working with in Dallas, and you average 10 employees for each of those 100 companies, that's 1,000 potential buyers that can also buy your homes that most people don't think of. And of course, if you have employees in your company and there's 20, there's other sales that can matriculate from that 1,020 people that you're working with. And of course, the numbers can be much higher when you start to bring in the banks and the mortgage companies and the larger manufacturers trading in the area. But my point is that you can use this program as a way to stimulate more sales for all of your companies with whomever is listening today, whether you're a financial investment banker or a builder or developer. All of these programs bring you direct income as a result of correctly doing them.
That's fantastic. So I invite everyone to, we're going to take the time, and this was really a suggestion, and I think to lock in the learning, having the opportunity to answer some of those questions is really critical. Please, if you have any questions, any other questions, I have a couple here. Please type them into the chat. I have a couple that we have here, and the question is, Robert, that you emphasize trades, and you've mentioned that several times in this conversation. Why do you emphasize the trade so much? Why is that so important in your world and in this business?
Yeah, I think the key with the trades is the fact that the more that you can work with them and get derive excellence from your relationship in every aspect, you're going to retain that value. There's a gentleman, a builder from A&M Custom Homes, Tony Barshevsky, years ago. We were waiting, and I said to him, how do you possibly compete? You build 35, 65 homes. How do you compete with the builders building 300, 1,000 homes a year? And Tony just smiled at me and he said, I work with the same team over and over. And he said, at this point, we've been in the market for about 18 years and we take care of everybody. We pay them every 2 weeks. They know that they're going to get paid come rain or come shine. We take care of them, that we embrace them into our family. We invite them to gatherings. And we don't have, as a result, we don't have to be out in the marketplace, bidding out 3 and 4 companies for every job that we do, because we keep abreast of what the prices are and we keep a solid team and know that they're going to give us the best pricing, and the best service and the best installation and the best warranty. And Tony said it the best, Jeff.
Okay. So we spent some time today on an idea home in terms of giving an example, but and you've shared with me that you have found that this is one of the most powerful marketing concepts. Why do you think it's so important, and why have you invested so much when you're developing a community in a neighborhood on an idea home or a parade of homes instead of or even I'll say supplanting investment in other general marketing?
This gives us, this is the gift that keeps on giving. When we do a program like this, it gives us another marketing edge that we're delivering state-of-the-art product, state-of-the-art energy conservation, state-of-the-art water conservation, state-of-the-art universal design trends, state-of-the-art smart technology, state-of-the-art health and wellness. When we're doing that and setting ourselves up as the leader, buyers and renters, call everybody a buyer. Buyers want to live in a community that is recognized as the best in the environment, the best in the metropolitan area. And we found over and over, when we deliver the best, our sales just matriculate much faster, our profits increase. And what also happens in a down market or a challenging market, customers gravitate to communities that are well organized and are well marketed and are disciplined from a design guideline or architectural guideline program and maintained. And it's all about putting the entire program together so that in any market, especially a down market, you'll be able to attract the most qualified buyers to your community. And close.
I'll really thank you so much. So we're just closing. So as we prepare for tomorrow, I want to share this idea with everyone, is that I want to acknowledge everyone here for joining this training. There's going to be more tomorrow. Please take the time to download the worksheet, the SMART goal planning sheet. And I ask you to do, as a homework assignment, pick one goal and make it a SMART goal in your business. It could be anything. It could be sales, marketing, hiring. It may be in terms of process systems. It could be computers. It could be accounting. It could be getting financing. But pick a SMART goal, complete that. And if you send that to Robert and I, we'd be happy to review that with you. I don't know that we'll have time in tomorrow's challenge, but you'll learn things. But we will work with you on that. And if you need any help at all on that, we'll be happy to share that and give you some suggestions on that. But training is really important. And as Robert continues to teach me, not only is it that you want to do this, the training before, you want to do before, during, and after. So we're going to give you some fantastic training. Tune in tomorrow for the top 4 strategies for maximizing profits. And we're going to share on Thursday Robert's #1 secret strategy for getting steady flow. I ask everybody, please take one moment and share the #1 strategy or idea, the big takeaway you got in the chat. If you could do that just as we're wrapping up, we have a few seconds, would really appreciate that. We thank you so much. It's been fantastic. And Robert, thank you so much for everything you share. I learn new things every time. It's been absolutely amazing, and really, really appreciate the opportunity to work with you and to learn and to help so many businesses. Thank you again. We see your responses. Please, anything that you need or want, either email through Deljane or mark it in the chat, and we're here to help you. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye now.